But Brock's all in. I mean, he's made the commitment. I mean, he's all in. He's wrestling. And
let's not forget
beating the
Brock.
shit out of Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, let's not forget Brock, because we gotta go to fucking Raw on Monday for a minute here.
What the fuck? What is this?
You know what?
If anyone didn't watch the final segment on last week's, if you're listening to us on Monday, a week ago's Raw program, was what was supposed to be a tag team match. Which degenerated into Brock just taking Cody and bringing him all around ringside and taking.
We have to be very concise on this, because what happened was Cody came down at the beginning of the show, and Cody basically said, "I want a rematch," and
with Roman
said, "Fuck off," and then he said, "Well, then I want to do something," which I didn't get, because he came down in a fucking suit. So if he wanted to go, wouldn't you ring the bell? Like, why would you come down in a suit knowing that? Because you're. I mean, if I was Roman, I'd have punched him in the face.
Well, he did have a pocket fob.
Yeah, the pocket. Yeah, you don't know what's on the end of that. It could be a fucking. I mean, I would hope a monocle, but that's just me.
I was thinking a gig.
Yeah,
that's how he hit the gig. Yeah,
but so then Paul Heyman basically says, whoever has the balls to cross the tribal chief will never get a title shot during the reign of Roman. Oh my God, like, what idiot is going to... Oh, well, wait a second. The August SummerSlam, the loss that Brock Lesnar took, it doesn't affect him because he can't get a title shot. This just happens to work in Cody's favor. Boom, 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 boom. Out comes Brock / Garth Brooks. And we go into handshakes. Yeah, Brock Brooks. That's good, Wesley. Brock Brooks.
2 points for the alliteration. Very good.
Yeah. And then they take off. And then at the end of the night, they come out. Now, this is where you lose me, because I've been watching pro wrestling for a fucking very long time. It's a entrance of a guy that you just spent the first fucking segment talking about his 950 plus day run. And as I'm watching, I think, a pizza ad while Roman goes to the ring to the left of the pizza, which is round.
The champion, right?
He's going. It's like he's, Iron Mike Sharp.
Jose Luis Rivera. I was going to pull, but you can pull an Iron Mike Sharp.
Yeah, back in the fucking Superstars or one of those eras, and Cody comes down and forgets about the injury again.
The ribs.
Yeah. I think the rib was on us. But, and then Brock comes down, and Brock kind of fucking faints at fucking Reigns. Next thing you know, fucking Cody's taking an F5. Now, if it was a shoot, they would have stunned Brock Lesnar at some point. Like, there used to have, even the boys would run out.
I did notice that they were just officials, like, standing around outside yelling. There was no. They were like the Uvalde police during the massacre in the school. They just kind of stood around and went, "Oh my God, someone has to stop this. Maybe it should be us," but nobody did anything. So what we're seeing now is.
I'll tell you what I thought was very impressive was. Brock is fucking. Jesus, he's so fucking special. But this, when he does this on that fucking. he lands him as about perfect as you could land him on those. I mean, that's unbelievable. Like, he's that strong where he basically, but he takes you off his shoulder and basically holds you in the air to make sure that you're going to fucking land where he wants you to. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just like, boom. It's
back
like,
into
wow.
the left. Back into the left.
Back into the left.
I saw some hard way in Cody's
what we have
hair.
right here is a fucking turkey shoot.
Were you listening to Corny Show today? What's going on?
No, that's Kevin Costner when he's
as Garrison in JFK. Yes.
Yeah. Right there, they turn 20 mile an hour turn. All of a sudden, you got Oswald. My God, he's coming right into a turkey shoot. Back into the left.
But okay. So now the logic of what we watcme is to be explained at a later date. Because I didn't fucking.
The logic for me is, there's never going to be a Monday Night Raw that has more eyes on it, probably in the next 8 months, than that following that fucking, it was a walk-off grand slam in Game 7 World Series WrestleMania to me. I mean, that was fucking, I mean, I was so, everything I said about how miserable my fucking WrestleManias were, that just basically, I mean, you couldn't have fucking transported me on the Star Trek and put me in the middle of that thing and made me feel any shittier. Just the Hartford Civic Center just didn't have quite the fucking zing.
Same cachet as SoFi.
Not so much. Missed it by just a little bit. I mean, fucking hell. So I just think that, put it this way, I know for a fact Monday I'm going to watch to figure out what the fuck's going on.
So if nothing else, let's go back to the Vince Russo philosophy. Do whatever you have to do on TV that week, Raw or Nitro,
to get them to come back.
To have someone go, well, we got to fucking watch next week. Even if it seems illogical. So maybe there's some genius here.
Yeah, that was the Bill Watts thing. When Bill Watts did that Mid-South, man, it was always fucking, it was always like, one thing about Watts was, like, when he came into WCW, the first thing he did was, all right, I'm taking the mats away from the floor, and it's all going to be exposed concrete. So if you do anything on the floor, if you slam something on the floor, it's on concrete. And like the first couple matches of anything that you did could not do anything off the ropes. Nobody could fight outside the ring unless it was approved. So very staunch rules and very regulated for the top guys to be able to fucking stay the top guys. And they so many times, if you watch old tapes from there, it's like, oh my God, here comes the fucking junkyard dog and we're out of time. And boom.
Right.
You'd be like, well, fuck, I got to watch next week. And he just, he was smart enough to fucking create that episodic.
Well, that was a big Carolinas thing, too, on TBS. They did that, the melee and running out of time. But we didn't just run out of time. We ran out of explanation as to what we were even seeing with Lesnar turning. So you're right. We're going to tune in next week and hopefully be satiated with an explanation. It's like writing, right? You end a chapter with a question, you open the next chapter with an answer, and you close that chapter with another question. And you do that 40 or 50 times, and you have a book. So, interesting to see what will happen next week.
While I'm doing this, so I don't want to forget, the promo that Paul cut to start off the show on Monday night, I thought was one of, by far, his best promos he's ever cut. I thought it was very important from myself as a shareholder to be assured that things were status quo and everything that you just saw isn't going to stop here but is going to move forward. And I thought that was hugely important.
Mm-hmm.
So, but here it is. It says, the older you get, the more you realize how precious life is. You have no desire for drama, conflict, or stress. You just want good friends, a cozy home, food on the table, and people who make you happy. And you don't want to be accused of having CTE. So I put that up last night.
I think I remember that without the last sentence, but
What? Oh,
right. But in the state that it's gone to today, they undoubtedly have the best production people working those events, from the pyro, the light. Like, I'm kind of a lighting junkie. I'm always looking at like the lighting and stuff.
and they were on a fucking skeleton crew for that because of this, because they've already started cutting into this with this Endeavor thing. So they were running that fucking show shorthanded.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's impressive.
I mean, I've heard that. I mean, and from a pretty reliable source. That was backstage.
Well, it's probably true, but yeah, I mean, undoubtedly the top people working that. Now, then there's all these the surrounding events, right?
But so since we're talking about this show, again, we have a situation where there's verbiage, and Brock comes down in a fucking duster and cowboy hat. So if we go back to the Raw after Mania, Brock jumped Cody and beat him
Senseless.
I mean, yeah. I mean, just beat him for 8 minutes. Cody comes down, and he's not medically cleared because of the beating that Brock gave him, but wants a piece of him. And for that, they send 25 security guys in waves, not one of them bigger than Cody.
Or my daughter, some of them, actually.
Yeah. Or Dink.
Is this on purpose so that Cody still looks like he could break through the fracas?
I know it's a babyface thing that he's,
mm-hmm.
That it doesn't matter what he wants his, he wants his pound of flesh. He wants his revenge. And he keeps making reference to the fact that he didn't win at WrestleMania. That's absolutely evident since you don't have a belt. You don't have to bring it up every week that you didn't win at WrestleMania. I get it. People are still with you. Don't lose them, but don't do this. Don't walk to the hard camera after Brock leaves and all the smoke is cleared and say, "You're no cowboy, Brock Lesnar, because I know a cowboy." His dad worked,
mm-hmm.
the cowboy hat and the Austin gimmick boots. And what you are, boom, boom, boom,
fighting word,
is a coward. Now, I don't know.
Doesn't pack the power of
not quite like what you
finish your show with, finish your segment with.
No, it's just, I just saw he didn't have knee pads on. It's like, don't tell me that you guys aren't going. It's like, it's not booked to go. He'd gotten Roman's face in a 3-piece suit. Roman was in a tracksuit and tennis shoes. I knew that wasn't going nowhere. Nobody's going to fight. Nobody is stupid enough to tear up a $2,000 suit to make it be more realistic.
Right. So Flair used to do that in the 80s. He would always get the shit ripped off him in the at ringside with Shivani on the
Yeah,
mic.
that's because it had fucking lipstick from some broad he was with that week, and he
Got to
couldn't
get rid of it anyway.
he couldn't bring it home, so he might as well fucking write the bitch off. Like, okay,
Still be on.
here we go. Here's a perfect example. So Raw starts off, and Brock attacks Cody and beats the fuck out of him, and then takes a empty beer keg and smashes his arm against a steel corrugated door. So Cody comes down, I don't know, maybe an hour into the show. I'm sure it was an hour into the show. I'm sure it was at a commercial break close to it. And, you know, Brock's down there, and he comes down, and he's got no shirt on. He's got a sling on, ice bags, and a towel wrapped around him. And he goes down there, and he's gonna take Brock on, and he slings off the fucking, slings off the sling, throws down the ice, and I have no idea what it's called. It's some kind of an arm fucking gimmick. Steve, do you know what he put him in? He put him in some kind of an. It's like a fucking break your Kimura armbar. So he puts him in a Kimura, and the thing is that fucking Brock does it so fucking fast and so effortless that you know that in a shoot he could do that every single fucking time that Cody got in the ring. Like, it was that evident. And I just said to myself, like, fuck. Like, they continue to expose Cody in these situations where it just, I'm sorry, man. He was a good high school wrestler. You know, it's not fucking. It's not an NCAA champion, and it's not a UFC champion. Like, that's Lesnar is fucking. It just.
Well, at a certain point too, I mean, you always want to create a monster, right? Even if not someone as legitimate as Brock, you want to give the impression that this guy's an unstoppable force, which can work against you too, because there's only so many people that you could put up against that unstoppable force without devaluing your baby face, right? I mean,
yeah, and the thing is, now it will be I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia with an injured arm and wrestle you, or bad ribs, whatever he had last time he wrestled him. And it's always this thing where, who the fuck is medically clearing these guys?
well, there has to be
Well, it's a word.
a staff. Oh, you mean just for the angle?
For the angle.
I don't think anybody even thinks about that.
Exactly.
Right, and that's what's wrong.
And that's what's wrong with it. So I'm going to get my arm smashed with a fucking giant keg of beer, and I'm going to sell it like I'm on fire, but then I'm going to fucking gather my shit, but I'm going to come down to the ring, and I'm going to let that motherfucker know that, motherfucker, you hurt me so bad that I'm going to sling with ice, but I'm going to get into here with some fucking street shoes on, and I'm going to take this fucking sling and this ice off, and we're going to go, and then fucking, before you can fucking say Kimura, fucking my Sharona's playing in the background, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, you couldn't fucking, if he came down there with fucking Indiana Jones's bullwhip, I'd be like, you hit Brock Brock will catch the end of that and pull you into a fucking headbutt. It's like, I
mean, the conditioning is unbelievable.
just the amount of conditioning you would do to make sure that you didn't get fucking hit, and as you're going down, have some fucking, because they're all strong. They're all fucking. There's not a whole lot. Like, you rarely see an MMA fight with a dude that's got a derby. Like, you'll see pro boxers, man. They'll be fat as fuck. You know, some of the heavyweights, they'll be fat as fuck. You don't like you don't see a lot of spare change on a fucking MMA guy.
No, it's true.
Like,
It's true.
they're so whatever they are, and I don't know how the fuck. I think Brock got down to, I think at 262 is the heaviest you can be. I don't know what it is, but that Brock was fucking 290. By the time he got to the ring that night, but just to get hit and knocked down and have somebody like that with not a boxing glove, but a 6-ounce glove that isn't really padded here. And he's just giving me hammer fists while I'm down on the ground.
Yeah. It takes a special kind of conditioning.
Yeah, Dom just said 206 to 265 is the heavyweights. There's a little bit of a difference in that, isn't there?
Yeah, that's a pretty broad. Yeah, because going more than 265, this becomes a conditioning issue now, like you're saying. So,
but what if? I mean, to me, I don't think that there should be a top end, or they should have a super heavyweight
or a super heavy, right? Like
if I think Brock if Brock could have weighed 290 and not cut down.
Yeah, why the hell not, right?
Then all of a sudden it's just like, who above 265 is going to go out there and beat Brock?
Yeah,
because now they might be losing 8 pounds to get to 265. They're not losing 28 pounds like he is to get down to 265. Yeah.
So, the heavyweights are always a draw anyway. The bigger the fucking guy, the better.
It's like bodybuilding.
Go out there 400 fucking pounds, throw up on his opponent.
I remember the first time I went to a bodybuilding show, and I was getting into the bodybuilding lifestyle, and started training and fucking watching. Like, really watching what you eat is the huge thing, and then the amount that you have to eat. You got to figure, like, it doesn't matter whether you're hungry or not. You need to get 50 grams of protein in because it's been 2 hours.
You can't do the French bakery for the
no, and you know that all the guys that compete will say, and don't drink a fucking shake. Your body needs food. You're like, fuck.
Can't cheat.
No, you got to eat, man. That's the key to fucking staying lean, is eating. Because Tamara left, and I bought a bunch of pre-done bodybuilding meals. They were like 50 grams of protein, 40 grams of carbs, 8 grams of fat. And you put them, take them out of the freezer, put them on the counter, let them sit during the day, and just throw them in the microwave for like 2 minutes. And it was like, and all of a sudden it was just like I started eating, and it was like, oh God, man. I ate like oatmeal and egg whites for breakfast. And I was still putting in 2 shakes, and all of a sudden it was like I weighed myself, and of course the more you eat, the more you're gonna defecate. So I weighed myself, and I'm thinking, like, man, I bet you I put on like 5 or 6 pounds, the amount of calorie intake that I've picked up. I was 4 pounds lighter. I was just like, my body composition. My metabolism was, I was burning fat. Like, it was like I'm just like, oh fuck. Like, okay, now you know this. So,
were you supplementing with any of the Get Blitzed Lit Aid by any chance?
I'm gonna actually say that I now have a 6-pack of Diet Sprite
in the kitchen,
in my refrigerator, and I had a little kind of like a vodka tonic today before I came down. The actual wrestling event was I thought that the match, I thought the Lesnar, number one, I did not think that Lesnar and Cody would go on second. I did not think that would be the second match of the night.
Right.
I did think that the physicality of the match for the first 90% of it was what it would be, the same as Cody basically takes, the beating of a lifetime. And then, Brock ends up stopping himself, and then Cody hits him with 355 cutters, and boom, finally he beat Lesnar. But the thing that I was afraid that they had pushed, like, I didn't know how manufactured Cody was, if it was because of the Peacock special and all the things. Is just like, is the machine pushing him, or are the people really behind him? And
But it could be both.
yeah, it could be both. But I think that Brock, and I found out this later, that Brock, it was not in the script, nor was it discussed that Brock at any time would raise his hand after the match was over, would shake his hand and raise his hand. So I think that was, um, and I think that was impromptu on Brock's behalf, because it was like like Brock felt he was worthy, and I think that did, uh, I mean, just volumes, spoke volumes for how Brock felt about Cody,
Mm-hmm.
which changed my opinion, because I've never been in the ring with Cody, so I just don't know how. But obviously, you feel that energy when you're in the ring with a guy, that he is over, and he's super over. Because I mean, Monday night he had two sing-alongs on the way down. He had one halfway down where he stopped and he touched the floor and they did the little thing, and then he had one when he got to the ring before he got in, another little sing-along. So two sing-alongs.
That's an indication of what's to come.
That's you're over. You're over.
Yeah.
So I was very happy, because the roster's not that, it's not that full. So you can't afford to mishandle a talent, and they didn't him, and he's over. And I'm proud of him, because I think that, I think he really loves this business.
Absolutely. I mean, the
It
workers
just
all
he's
love him.
yeah, and it's just, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for, I mean, for Dusty. I'm happy for the Rhodes family. His mom is a sweetheart, and she never doesn't come and say hello to me anytime that we run into each other. So
Was that how you would have booked it?
it was the rubber match. You can't. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to beat Cody all the way to WrestleMania? Then he's going to, you know, do the banana peel with Roman? I mean, you got to give him some. To beat Brock it's hard for me. It's hard for me to watch anybody beat Brock, because I've heard so many people in the mixed martial arts that, like, Lesnar just kind of was, he just decided he was going to do this, and he was so strong and so fast, and he was just a monster. If there was no weight limit in the UFC, and Brock could have went in there at like 298. Oh,
But that's what I'm saying. Like, would that believability part of you knowing what you know about Brock, would that be weighing into your making it more difficult to make a decision, or is it, hey, it's just wrestling, it doesn't really fucking matter what I know about Brock?
No,
Brock
I think
could
it.
do.
Yeah, I think it does. I think that it definitely. But you know what? When I watched it back, and at the end, I just basically I watched the last 3-4 minutes of the match, and then the after, and I watched that back, and it's like Cody's is big. He's not that much smaller. I mean, he's smaller than him, but I mean, it's It's not like like Cody's got is got some size to him.
Right. Well, I'm not talking about height here. I'm like
Yeah, I'm just
overall
talking. Yeah,
the mass of Brock is
well, just Brock is I think I don't know who used the term. I saw it but Brock is a unicorn. Like there's not when Brock decides he's not going to do this anymore, there won't be anybody that comes along that people say, "Oh, you know who he's like? He's like Brock Lesnar."
true. Even if you look at the other MMA guys who come before, none of them go near
None
what
of them were
Brock comes to represent.
none of them were as good as Brock was at a collegiate level to come in and be. And him and Kurt came in at the same time. And the hardest thing you have when you've got shooters is they've been taught their whole life, do not get on your back. And in pro wrestling, you have to flat back. So that's always been the hardest thing for a shooter to learn is like to make it's almost like, okay, everything you've learned since you were 5 years old, take that, put it out the window because now everything you do is going to be based on you kicking out on 2.5.
Mm.
So but both Brock and Kurt Angle were just amazing at how quickly they took on uh, to the pro circuit. And I forget it was the WrestleMania. It was the one after Toronto. Was it? Did they wrestle in Toronto?
Let's see where it was.
Guys, was that where Brock missed that moonsault and a normal human would have died? Was that Toronto? That wasn't Toronto. Dominic says, was it Seattle? Yeah, it was Seattle. It was Drowning Pool played beforehand. Um, uh, then Drowning Pool played when Triple H came down. That was a great. I was injured. I had my quad or I had some kind of injury, but maybe who knows, mental. But that was the one where me and Steve just hung out. Steve Austin. But yeah, he for him to be that good coming out of college, to be that good as a pro, and then to go to UFC and become the world heavyweight champion UFC, it just there's just nobody's going to have that kind of credentials.
Brock Lesnar. I want to get back to SummerSlam for a minute. I don't want to get off this here. The moment at the end of the match, the handshake, the raising of the hand, and that moment in the ring, which, I mean, we've seen that stuff before. But I did read that Brock was going to be going away for a while, so I thought it was a significant moment. And Paul said at the press conference that it was unplanned, that it was
Right.
was something.
So does anybody know why Brock's not going to be around for a while?
Yeah, I didn't see. I don't think it's injury. According to, I think I'm going to read the quote exactly here. So, according to Meltzer, I don't think it's injury. Meltzer said Brock was originally advertised for one of the pay-per-views later this year, but he's not going to be on it. He's going to be gone for a while, no time soon, as far as the next 4 months or something like that. He's not going to be on anything at that point. He will be back for Mania season. That's the situation with him. So I don't know. But the fact that he was gone and took the opportunity in the center of the ring on the pay-per-view to do that with Cody, which was not part of the angle, was a moment for sure. The trilogy having ended. There's a callback to Kurt doing it. Anyway, the reason I'm asking about this is because you, of course, the curtain call moment in Madison Square Garden. A little different because you guys were exiting the company and it was a farewell. But moments that improved moments by workers, breaking kayfabe a little bit. Were you ever, of course, we know about the curtain call, but were you ever moved to acknowledge the victory of the person if it was not planned or part of what was discussed after the match, just because you thought maybe the match was so good? Like, fuck, I had a great match with him. I'm gonna take an extra moment to
I
put him
remember there
over.
was a period where when Lex was just super over, and we ended up at Auburn Hills, and it was just like we couldn't wait until like for Sting to for Starcade. We couldn't wait that long because it was like Lex needed like Lex needed to to get the strap, even if it was just for a couple of weeks, because he was just red hot. And I
Hmm.
remember us all um, at that TV going and just talking it over with Eric, and Hulk was on point with it, saying like yes, like he felt it too. Like Lex is just super hot right now. And everything. It was just time to do that favor for Lex. So that would probably be the closest thing I could think of just because the thing was it was supposed to be. I think it pissed Steve off. I
Hmm.
think that Steve was pissed that the belt got but it was a short period of time. I don't even know how long Lex had it for. But I know that he went. I'm pretty sure it was Auburn Hills, if I'm not mistaken. He went over at
Hmm.
Nitro.
Right. It's a cool moment, like when stuff like that happens.
Yeah, I think anytime that somebody's, I mean, because one thing about being a pro is you learn to listen to the people, and you can really hear the people, and you know when you have the people or when somebody else does. And I'm sure that Brock did. I'm sure that when Brock, it's it it's almost when somebody beats you for the third, 2 out of 3, and now you're in that position where they're handing him the belt.
Mm.
It's so fucking flat for Brock not to do that. For Brock to just slide underneath the bottom rope and give Cody that moment without the endorsement is kind of like
It
what
would have been
Brock.
anticlimactic after
Right,
the
yeah, I
last
mean,
year. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so it just and I'm sure that Brock didn't put that kind of thought into it. It just went. I'm sure Brock at that moment it just didn't feel right. And
Without it. That's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm guessing. I mean, you know,
Yeah. Well.
because Brock definitely, definitely, just one thing that I've learned from watching him is he doesn't get the credit that he should for his psychology, for his ability to sell, for his ability to sell for anybody. He's a pro's pro.
Excellent.
I'm a huge fan of Brock Lesnar.